Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting started here at Center for Practical Spirituality, where we uplift the soul and get you started for the whole entire week and then some. So let's go ahead and get started with our statement of being. Let me go ahead and go to that. And we're going to go ahead and begin. God is all, both visible and invisible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. And so it is. And so it is. And so today, we're getting ready for the Super Bowl. Oh my goodness. We've got to just get ready and just kind of, get into the mood of cheering on, one of our wonderful, football teams. And, I'm not going to tell you who I'm rooting for. But if you know me, I think you can probably guess. Anyways, okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and go straight into the light. In thy light do we see light? He has brought us forth to the light, and we behold his righteousness. By the light of truth within, we see all things truly. No shadow is cast by this light, for it shines in and through all. The darkness is past, and the true light now shineth forward. In Genesis 1:4, it says, and God saw the light, that it was good. What can I say? At this very moment, I am so elated and so happy because the light to all of the lies and deception and the trickery and all of the things that, they're just coming about. But let me say this. I remember whenever I was younger, there was this one guy in my life, and Jelly Bean, he tried to manipulate, to coerce, to, pull the wool over my eyes and all of this other stuff. And I'd just be looking at him like, do you think that I was born yesterday? I mean, I may be young, but God bless it, man. And so eventually, that guy, thank God, I did not marry him. I dated him, but I did not marry him. And no, it's not any of the ones that you guys know. Okay, by the way, it was one that I dated. Anyway, I was in college at the time. And so, he ended up, I laugh and I laugh and I laugh at this, because he would look down at, certain people because, he just thought that he was the grand old poopah, I guess you could say. And I would just be like, what? What are you talking about? I mean, like, you really, act that way? It's like, wow. One of the things that I'll say is this. Do not ever judge a book by its cover. Just because they look good, just because they look presentable, just because they, have, what I really liked about this one particular guy was his eyes, Oh, they were just so beautiful. And so, captivating, charming, very well versed, all this other stuff. Until you get to know them, right? And then you're just like, oh, forget it. Never mind. Exactly. Say that again? It was just a facade. That's exactly what it was. It was just a facade. And I knew something wasn't right. I just knew. Anyways. So, broke up, went on, and one day, it was already in the 2000s, okay? I don't know, maybe 2000... maybe 5, 6, 7, something like that. So the internet was going, kind of rapid at that point, and I had just gotten onto Facebook, I guess, and I opted, something told me, because I could go to Google, and I could go ahead and Google whoever I wanted to, right? It was the new age of time, right? So I did. needless to say, this pretentious gentleman ended up having a court case in the federal courts, and he was labeled, accused, and convicted for being a con artist. A bona fide con artist, okay? And so I shared it with my best friend, and so then she was like, oh my God. And then, you know, she went ahead and read up on his wife, and she goes, Katrina, she sounds just like you. Go look at it. And I said, oh God, whatever. Sure enough, the lady, you know, it's kind of like there was a lot of similarities. So why do I share this with you? Because of the fact that what was once in the darkness actually came out in the light. And so the light eventually showed exactly what I felt in my bones, what I felt in my whole entire spirit, that I knew that he was a con artist, that it was a, you know, what did you call it, Kayana? A facade. There was a falsehood about him. And so today, I am so happy because the light is shining on the darkness and the deception that has been plaguing this world for eons. Let me repeat that. The light is exposing the deceit and the lies and the corruption that has been in this world for eons. And more importantly, you know, there's a lot of people that are having to eat crow today. And my feeling is, can I serve you the next dish?
No matter how you season it, it's still
She's, one of my parishioners just said, she goes, and I don't care how you season it, it's still crow. I remember when I was mocked because of my stance, because of the fact that I'm a humanitarian, because of the fact that I am going to be standing up for women and children and men who are mistreated as well, that I stand up for the least of my people. You know, and it's okay. It's okay that they mocked me. It's okay that they made fun of me. It's okay. Because you know what happened? Jesus was mocked as well. Yes, he was. He was mocked by his own people. And what did he do? He grabbed his little sandals, and he went, got rid of the dirt off of him and said, see you later, alligator. After a while, crocodile. And he went ahead and he still went and did what he needed to do. And that's exactly what I am also doing. Those that mocked me, those that made fun of me, those that continued to say to me, it's kind of, oh, Katrina, what are you going to do now? My question is, what are you doing now? Because I know I can survive anywhere. Amen. I know I can survive anywhere. Anywhere. My question to those that were so uppity about, oh, look at me. You know, my question is, you know, can you survive anywhere? Can you do hard labor? Can you do hard work? You know, can you really? Right now, that which seems impossible is very possible. Let me give a kind reminder. Mussolini, Hitler, the Roman Empire, and many others the bigger they are, the harder they fall. There is a natural law called cause and effect. And every single person, including myself, we all pay the piper. And that's why it's very, very important that what we send out is love. Because regardless of what happens, what you put out is what you're going to get back. So what do you have within inside of you? Because whenever things are kind of like coming at you, you know, it's kind of like, and you're being attacked or so on and so forth. So if you have anger, resentment, hate, any one of those things, you know, it's kind of like, guess what you're going to respond with? Anger, resentment, hate. But if you have love and joy and peace and perfect harmony, guess what you're going to have within inside and that you're going to respond for? Peace, harmony, joy, and love. When you come from an authentic place of love and of joy, then what you are able to do is you are able to, you know, bring people into your wonderful fold of love. There was a lady over in Minneapolis whenever all hell had broken loose. And what she did was she opened the door to her little store, to her little restaurant. While there was tear gas and there was all of these other different things, and she opened the door for them and said, come in, come in, come in. Because she did not want to see people hurt. Because see, one time in her life, she had actually experienced something like that when she was younger, more than likely. She had been the oppressed at one time. And so what is happening right now is this, is that the oppressed are rising. The facade are being revealed. In other words, the Wizard of Oz, they are now seeing him for what he really is, which is this itty bitty man with a big old microphone pretending to be bigger than life.
And he is so insecure.
And so insecure. The insecurities, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, jelly bean. And this is why we're needing to understand that the light is now shining brightly on deception, on deceit, on the lies, and those of you that actually fell for the deceit, for the lies, and for the untruths, for the darkness, because it looks so grand, you are now realizing it's like, oh, well, maybe Katrina did have a little bit of wisdom somewhere in there.
Maybe she wasn't such a big boy after all.
Maybe she's not so crazy after all. That's so true, right? So impossible possibilities until it's not. Medical science has proven time and time again that when the resources are provided, great progress in the treatment, cure, and prevention of disease can occur. Occur. Michael J. Fox. Michael J. Fox has what is it? Parkinson's? Parkinson's. You know, and even in spite of him having his Parkinson's, he still continues to, you know, fight the good fight. He still continues to speak on this subject to everybody that will hear him. And he says to them, it's kind of like, when we can get aligned and provide, you know, those resources and do the scientific, you know, research, all of a sudden we find the solutions. Every new discovery in medicine is just as much a revelation of God for that purpose as in a new invention, a new interpretation of life, or the answer to a prayer. Ernest Holmes, 10 ideas that make a difference. I'm going to say something. You know, we have limited, and one of the things that one of my other parishioners says is that he doesn't call God God. He calls God creator of all. Because even the word God ends up limiting God, okay? When we say God, whenever we think of God as a man. Whenever we think of God, you know, we also say goddess, okay? No, we're limiting. That is limited. that, God or creator of all does not have any gender role at all. At all. No gender role whatsoever. And we as human beings, what we're doing is we have limited ourselves to the boxes. We need to get rid of that box. We need to go ahead and we can just start, tapping into our authenticity, into our mind, which is one of our greatest tools. Can you think of any medical procedures or treatments that once were considered impossible, but are now commonplace? How many of us can think of, it's like whenever they would just do a stent, and before it used to have to be open heart surgery, and now they just do stents everywhere. They'll only do 15 though. And after that, that's it, no more.
I remember the first open heart surgery.
I have a parishioner here that remembers the very first open heart surgery. Yeah, and so 3 of them. I do not. I was a little younger. I don't think I was born yet. I don't remember. Anyway, but nowadays we find, simple cures for an ear infection, simple cures over the counter, simple cures, for instance, for rashes, that we have ointments that we can now go to just CVS and get something for it. We now have different ways of being able to take care of our eyesight, by actually over the counter vitamins that help our eyes to be better. Okay.
Cataracts used to mean blindness.
Oh, cataracts used to mean blindness, which is true, and now it doesn't. Now it means you can go and actually have drops put into your eyes, and then you actually can start improving your eyesight. By the way, once successful heart surgery and organ transplant was considered impossible. The discovery of the antibiotics and the vaccines enabled complex medical procedures. Why are these procedures now embraced as possible? Even very ordinary. How many times have we seen or have we been told, okay, this person needs a kidney. And guess what? Somebody actually provides a kidney. When they were once rejected and thought of as impossible, are physicians and scientists naturally open-minded? If so, then why are we as metaphysicians, because all of us are metaphysicians, we are all co-creators with God, with creator of all, not also naturally open-minded by the very nature of our practices? American philosopher John Dewey said, every great advance in science has issued from a new audacity of the imagination. If you can imagine it, then you can what? Then you can do it. It's very, very simple. It's very, very simple. If the imagination can imagine it, then you can do it. But it also means that if you can imagine something heinous and doing something vile and doing something that is not for the very best and highest good of this whole entire world, then you need to start thinking differently. Because what has happened here is that our imagination can go to it can go either into a world of love and joy and peace and perfect harmony, or it can go into a world of hate and anger and deceit, as well as lust, and taking things that are beautiful and wonderful and make them perverse. I'm not going to judge either way. You guys decide what you're going to do, but you are the captain of your ship. And what you decide to do and how to do it, that is going to be up to you. But remember, for every action, there is an equal and opposite, what? Say it. Reaction. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Remember that. What you dish out into this world is what you're going to get back. And so lots of times, there's, you have to remember, it's kind of like, how are we treating ourselves? Are we respecting ourselves? Are we caring for ourselves? Are we honoring the self? Are we truly, when we look into the mirror and we see ourselves, are we truly saying, I love you, or you condemning and judging yourself. Scientifically, lots of times it's kind of like our scientists are going down all the way down to the molecular level. And when they're down there in that molecular level, what they are doing is they know how to manipulate certain strands of certain particular, you have to go back into the science perspective of things. And all of a sudden, if you put this kind of oh my goodness, what do they call it? Chemical and this other chemical together, all of a sudden you create this particular reaction. That's the same thing whenever you're dealing with personalities, when you're dealing with human beings, when you're dealing with other people. You are the one that is creating your next second, your next minute, your next hour, your next day, your next year, your next 10 years. So what are you focusing on? What are you wanting? Remember, you have this life. Make it count. It continues here and it says, do we consistently nurture our imagination and experimentation, discussion, deconstruction, exploration, and reconstruction to ensure new thought remains at the forefront of health, wellness, equity, justice, and evolutionary change rooted in principle? And what is principle? Truth. The short answer is no. But that doesn't mean we have to stay that way. We can quickly turn into a confident yes if we are willing. How many of us are willing to change our thinking so we can change our life?
Me.
Here we are. Yes. When you change your thinking and you change, it's kind of like, what do I want my end result to be like? What is it? You've got to ask yourself, is this really what I want? And once you have what you want, and if you decide to change your mind, you can do that. You have every right to change your mind. The only thing you have to say is, thank you, universe. I really appreciate all of this that you have just given to me. And at this point, what I'd like to do is I'd like to take this away or add this to my request, to my order. Okay? And the reason is because of the fact that you want to make sure that you are understanding that you are the co-creator of your life with Creator of all, with Source, with infinite intelligence. Yes, ma'am.
There comes a day when you realize turning the page is the best feeling in the world because you realize there's so much more to the book than the page you shut.
So there comes a time in your life where you end up having to turn the page. And when you turn the page, you realize that there was so much more of this book that you could relish on and be a part of than just that page that you were stuck on. In other words, read, turn the page. You're in that moment, turn the page. If I would have stayed stuck, in the grieving of certain things that happened in my life, instead of continuing to evolve and to say, okay, you know what, I've done this much and this is all that I have to do now. It's kind of like it's already done and I need to, make a better choice. I have to, am I choosing to go out to dinner? Am I choosing to stay home? Am I choosing to have more people in my life? What are my choices? But I have to choose. And if I don't like my choice, it's okay to change my mind about that choice. So for instance, I'm walking down the street and then all of a sudden it's kind of like, I feel this overwhelming feeling that what I have to do is I have to take a left. But I ignore it. And instead I take a right. And then I end up in front of a murder scene. And then I have to do what? Call it in. I have to stay there. I'm being questioned. What could I have done? I could have taken the left and listened to my intuition. Please listen to your intuition. Please.
That's all I got.
It's like, Just go to the left. Take a left, okay, instead of a right. For some reason or another, somebody needs to hear that one. Hold on. So right here, let's go ahead and continue. If we are going to claim that religious science and science of mind are indeed sciences, then we are to engage in scientific level, peer-reviewed, statistical evidence-based work in the laboratory of life. Collaboration with peers in the field like psychology, thanatology, pedagogy, and jurisprudence is essential. In other words, you want to brainstorm with others. A world that works for all cannot be built unless all are included in the conversation and healing process. And it's not just healing, it's the health process. When will we come together with all of the arts and sciences to discuss the work we plan to do on this grand scale? The time is when? Now. Eckhart Tolle, who is an absolutely phenomenal author, wrote 2 books, The Power of Now and New Earth. And so my invitation is, if you can, whenever you get a chance, is read those books. The Power of Now, or, it's kind of like, is about being in the moment now, not in the past and not in the future. The past is over and done with. It's gone. Now, according to the Silva mind control, you can go back to that moment in time and you can reprogram it. Okay? Which is a gift that we all have learned. Not everybody knows how to do that, but if you're a part of Center for Practical Spirituality, if you're a part of, learning more ways of being able to reconstruct certain things, right here, right now, I can tell you that we can go back to that moment in time and just redo it, because time is not linear. We have to understand that it is going to be right here. It doesn't go like this. It's like this. So every second in the matrix, the numbers were not going like this. No, they were going up and down. And so you have to remember that the moment is right here, right now, at this very second, at this very moment. And it's going to be, you're moving in this way. Okay? When you understand how powerful your mind is and how we have limited ourselves, in so many different ways, you can actually slow time down, by the way. You can also speed it up, and you can also, it's kind of like a lot of people are not able to do this, but there have been known facts of bilocation. Okay? Padre Pio, in yoga, there are certain yogis that can actually do this. There are monks as well. There's so many different practices out there. Okay? And so whenever you free yourself from the limiting beliefs, all of a sudden you will have prosperous consciousness, prosperity consciousness. Yes, ma'am.
When Silva mind control was first come about, people thought it was about controlling somebody else's mind.
Oh, Silva mind control, they thought that it was about controlling somebody else's mind. It is not. It is about controlling your mind. It is controlling your energy. It is controlling your, outcome or your imagination and where you want to be. You are the co-creator. You are one of the greatest instruments that God has ever put on this earth. Use your gifts wisely. As a divine expression of God, I bring my genius to the conversation and the manifestation of what I know to be possible. So with that right there, The genius within each of us is bringing about and manifesting the possibilities of having divine right justice today and right now, and we are bringing down those that are not for our very best and highest good for this cosmic consciousness. It is now said, it is now decreed, it is now done right here at this moment, and it is done, and so it is.
So it is.
Do you understand me? Do you understand me, ladies and gentlemen?
Yep.
It is done now because we decree it, because we know it, because as God is an expression, we know that the truth is being revealed and this cosmic consciousness deserves better. We are elevating at this very second, at this very moment, so that the possible, the impossible is now made possible for the very best and greatest good for our children, for our women, for all of those that are being oppressed at this very moment. It is now. Freedom is here today, right now, in the name of God that is all love. And the truth shall set you free.
And it's being revealed as we speak.
You know, the light really is going to be hitting on February 17th. And even before then, it's already happening. So with that being said, divine expression of God, each of us are. And I know that the light workers, the seed workers, all of those that are ready, all of these wonderful spiritual beings that are stating, claiming, and proclaiming that we want freedom from oppression, freedom from the things that are not for our very best and highest good, freedom from those that are trying to put us into a box. We are getting rid of the boxes. We are making sure that we rise and that we win. So for all of those that mocked me, all of those that made fun of me, all of those that, said, oh, she's just a little crazy. Was I really crazy? Was I? What is crazy is this. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And right here, right now, as spiritual beings, we are being called to elevate, to level up, to start preparing for peace that passes understanding. Let's get ready for our wonderful football game. So elated. Because I know that the very best, I just know there is going to be miracles upon miracles, one way or another. I do hope and anticipate that you enjoyed today's wonderful, service, as well as our reflection on so many different things. Every once in a while, you get a spicy, Chaplain or Reverend Katrina Ornelas. What can I tell you? But spicy is good. It really is. It really is. So let's go ahead and hold our tithes and our offerings in our hands, and let us go ahead and also hold our prayer requests, which we do have. And so let us go ahead and say together, divine love in me, as me, and through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. And so it is. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to go ahead and send a tithe or an offering, please know that you can do it through PayPal. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll put it on our thread so that you guys can go ahead and do that. Thank you so very much. What can I say? It's very interesting. You never know what wonderful source and spirit and our guide, our angels are going to be, showing us and guiding us and revealing to us. But let me show you a picture. I don't know if I actually took that screenshot or not. I wish I had. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, I'm not sure. But there was a picture, and that picture said, whenever somebody tells you or asks you, let me see, do I have it in here? Son of a gun. Hold on. Let me see. I'm trying to see if it's in here or not. Darn. I do have it. Hold on. There it is. So I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but it says, let me see if you can see it real good. Let me see. There it goes. There it is. I think you guys can see it now. When someone says, you in what army? There you go. That army. So, whenever anybody asks you, you and what army is going to come after me? Show them this one. Okay? This is the army that's invisible. Those are the ancestors. Okay? Those are my ancestors as well. Your ancestors. All of our ancestors. The souls that we do not touch, but we can feel. They are the ones that come and help us. So know that even those ancestors are here right now, and they are making sure that only the greatest is coming about. So, with that being said, I'm ready for a miracle. I'm ready for a miracle. I'm ready for a miracle today. I've got my mind in tune for one. I'm ready to experience one. I'm ready for a miracle today. My mind is open, ready to receive it. My heart is opened all the way. I do accept a miracle. I do accept a miracle. I do accept a miracle today. I do receive a miracle. I do receive a miracle. I do receive a miracle today. Very good, very good. Yay! Mwah. I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed today. Enjoy your football game. Bye.